When my daughter got home from a Christmas party at her grandparents' house, she was in tears. She looked upset as she quietly gave me a wrapped gift. "Look at this, Mom," she asked. "Why do I have to go through this?" I didn't know what to say. As soon as I opened the package, I knew it wasn't right. As a child, I instantly called the police to report what happened, which led to the gift giver's actions being made public and causing chaos. This event caused a lot of trouble in the family, and the person who did it had to deal with harsh results. I started a new job at age 34 after a rude comment from a previous boss. I am now 45 years old, and my younger husband works for the same company. At my current job, skills are more important than age or gender, and my husband, who was my boss at the time, was very supportive. We got married right away and now have a sweet fourth-grade daughter who loves to read and is kind to everyone. However, I don't get along well with my husband's sister. Even though I get along well with my in-laws, she doesn't like that I'm older than my husband and makes fun of how quickly we got married. It hurt to hear her say mean things about my age and the changes in my body from being pregnant, but I tried to keep my cool for my own peace of mind. Her attitude only changed after she had a quick wedding and moved away, which cut down on our time together and stopped her from making fun of me. This change lets me focus on getting ready to meet our daughter. Even though giving birth was hard, the birth of our daughter was a happy event in our lives that cleared the sadness that had been affecting our happiness. During the birth of our daughter, it was very important for me to have my husband's steadfast support and positive words. When she cried for the first time in the delivery room, his thanks and appreciation for my work made us both cry tears of joy. But 5 months after our daughter was born, my sister-in-law had a boy and started coming to our house again. Each visit took an hour. Her goal seemed to be to make negative comparisons between our kids and to say mean things about my age, which made my daughter feel bad. She said it was clear from the lines she said were on my daughter's face compared to her child's smooth skin. Her brazenness astounded me as I was adjusting to being a parent for the first time. She wouldn't bring any baby necessities with her, but she would leave with diapers and formula, saying she didn't want to run out. This action really confused me. It seemed like the main reason she came was to put me down and then take goods, like it was her right. Because of her husband's job, they had to move to a different state, so she stopped visiting. This brought some peace for a short time, until our daughter started grade school and found out that her cousin was also there. Even though our family relationships were tense, our daughter and her cousin became close friends. She took care of him because she was older, nicer, and more honest. He became well-liked by his friends. They were in the same class by the 3rd grade, and my daughter got praise for a reading review she did over the summer. It was even printed in the local newspaper. Family and friends were talking about this accomplishment, especially when I visited my in-laws. A lot of family members got together this time, maybe because my daughter got an award. But my sister-in-law seemed uneasy about the attention our family was getting. A woman claimed that it was unfair and said the famous book was meant for her son, even though the kids had already read both books and agreed to trade them. The fact that they chose which book report to write together was a team effort that my nephew liked. This event showed how the kids could share and help each other, which was very different from the adults' arguments and confusion. My nephew really liked the book my daughter read first, so she was kind and let him pick it out. When I told my sister-in-law this story, she wrongly thought I wrote the award-winning reflection for my daughter. She may have remembered that I liked writing books in college, which she probably got from my husband and didn't tell me. She was also spreading lies at school about me, saying that I had used my personal ties with the competition judges to give my daughter's entry an unfair edge. The spread of these false charges made my daughter so sad that she stopped enjoying reading, which she used to really enjoy. For me, this was the last blow. I couldn't stand to see her so down, both because of the lies being spread about me and because she was the target of mean-spirited rumors. I told my husband about his sister's mean behavior toward me for the first time since we got married before I did anything else. This included taking clothes meant for our daughter, saying mean things about my looks while I was pregnant, and comparing me to a sumo wrestler because she thought babies couldn't tell the difference between gender-specific clothes. My husband agreed that it was time to involve his parents because he was so angry about his sister's behavior. He insisted on telling my sister-in-law about the problem in person, so he went to her house with his parents. Her initial happiness at having her family visit out of the blue quickly turned to shock when my husband gave her a harsh warning. When she was called out, she got angry and blamed me for exposing her to her favorite brother. By making herself the victim, she was trying to avoid taking responsibility. At first, I returned her calls because I thought she was trying to make things right. But it turned out she was just venting her anger. In the end, I set her phone number to go straight to voicemail, so when she tried to call, I didn't answer. I thought at first that she had lost interest when the calls stopped after a few weeks. It turned out that wasn't the reason, though. My in-laws hosted their first ever children's Christmas party in December, which made me wonder why they chose that month. No matter what, my daughter was thrilled to be asked. She remembered the fun Christmas party she had in kindergarten and hoped for something similar at her elementary school. But they couldn't hold one because of their policy on religious events. I'd often wonder why people have to strictly follow faith traditions when Christmas has become a holiday that people all over the world love and celebrate in their own unique ways. I've been noticing that some parents are very careful to keep their faith in mind when they talk about their kids. My daughter and I have celebrated Christmas quietly at home for the past 2 years, choosing to enjoy the holiday in our own unique way. She really liked the gift swap, which was one of the best parts of our party. This year, my in-laws offered a straightforward budget of $11 for a gift exchange at their Christmas party. My daughter and I went on a little trip to a nearby huge shopping mall to look for the right gift. She finally chose one of her favorite picture books because she wanted to tell someone else about the story and how much it made her happy. On the day of the party, she left with the gift and went to my in-laws' house, which was only a short bus ride from our house. After telling my mother-in-law that she was coming, she offered to pick her up from the bus stop. Later, she called to let me know that my daughter had arrived safely, which temporarily eased my fears. But the peace didn't last long. After only 50 minutes, the sound of the front door opening on a weekday caught me off guard. My husband was at work, and I was working from home while my daughter was on winter break. The scene I saw when I got there broke my heart. My daughter crying by the door. She gave me a gift-wrapped bag that looked like the things inside would make sense of everything. I found a scary card written in red ink inside the bag, along with a newspaper with her reading reflection torn into pieces. The card warned us not to be too cocky, or we might end up like the mutilated stuffed animal inside the bag, which was cut up and stained with red ink to look like blood. This upsetting act was not at all a harmless joke. When my daughter informed me that my sister-in-law had made this ominous gift, I was shocked. People agreed that adults would not bring gifts to the party because it was supposed to be a happy, kid-focused event. Still, even though I wasn't going with my daughter to the party, I was shocked to find out that my sister-in-law was there and did something horrible to my daughter. If my mother-in-law knew that her daughter was there, she would have told me because she always asked that we tell her about any problems her daughter caused. This misunderstanding upset me and showed that someone was trying to hurt us on purpose, but my mother-in-law didn't know about it. When my daughter got home from school, she was upset. I told her she should tell her grandma what happened. But before she could, my aunt spoke up and said that she hadn't called for her, and that only kids from Christian schools were welcome. When my daughter asked me what a mission school was, I didn't know what to say. A family member was recently accepted into a mission school, which caused a lot of talk in the family. My sister-in-law's son went to a Christian kindergarten. We had heard of family members who didn't know they had ties to these kinds of schools until they started going. We made a different choice. For our daughter, we chose a neighborhood kindergarten and a public grade school. It looked like my sister-in-law used this as another chance to put down my daughter. The frightening gift my daughter got made me very angry, so I hurried to the police station and made it clear how serious the threat was. Even though the police didn't want to get involved at first and said it should be handled as a family problem, luckily a female officer saw how serious the situation was. She understood our fear and promised to visit my sister-in-law that evening with a warning. She knew that threats and violence within families are crimes that need to be reported. I told my angry husband about what happened during the day when he got home. He spoke out against his sister's mean behavior and called his parents, who were holding the Christmas party, but said they didn't know about it. They thought my sister-in-law might have broken in through a back door that wasn't locked while my mother-in-law was busy with other things. The little kids in the family were given the party to plan. After the police officer gave my sister-in-law a harsh warning about what would happen if she didn't change, my in-laws, worried that she might have done something wrong, called a family meeting to talk about it. My sister-in-law and her husband showed up late to the meeting at my in-laws' house. She was clearly upset and not sorry about the police presence, and her husband didn't seem to know what the meeting was for. This situation made the problem seem even worse, which led the family to talk about how to move forward and deal with the root problems. When the husband of my sister-in-law's sister finally found out what his wife had done to our family, he was shocked. Before that, he had no idea how bad things were. When he apologized to us, he seemed truly sorry, which was very different from my sister-in-law, who stayed stubborn and refused to say sorry. Everyone remained silent as she argued that the fact that the police did not arrest her proved her innocence, which was difficult for us to comprehend. Surprisingly, he told her he was going to divorce her. No one saw any outward signs of trouble in their marriage, so this news shocked everyone. He gave a history of putting up with her behavior, which had gone from ignoring housework and child care to making people afraid because she wasn't paying attention. Her concern with how she looked led her to make a lot of moves that weren't necessary. She didn't do these things because it was necessary for her job. Rather, she did them because she was vain and wanted to maintain a certain social status. She often said that their moves were okay because she had high hopes for their son. For example, she tried to get him into fancy kindergartens but failed, which made her feel even worse about herself. In the end, they chose a public school because that's what their son wanted. Even though his wife didn't want to at first, her father supported the choice. The husband's decision to divorce her wasn't a spontaneous one. Rather, it was the result of years of resentment that her most recent abuse had exacerbated. When she heard about the divorce, my sister-in-law was caught off guard. She tried to say sorry, but it was weak and seemed like a last-ditch effort to fix things by saying they were just jokes or pranks. But her actions, especially the mean message she sent to a child, were too serious to be laughed off. This kind of behavior, which could make even adults scared, was unacceptable and showed how trust had been broken in the family forever. I talked to her about it and pointed out how different her actions were from what a caring mom would do. I told her, just because you're a parent doesn't mean you automatically have parental instincts. I meant to show that her behavior was very different from what someone in that job should do. When my husband saw her crying, he told her very clearly that crying wasn't going to help. She shouldn't think that pity will make people forgive her, especially since she is old. She kept crying even though she didn't do anything wrong and wondered why she was being blamed. She even said that the family didn't like me because I was married to her brother, which made it sound like the problem was with me being older than her. The fact that she didn't understand how bad her actions were left us all speechless. My husband was especially shocked that she didn't get it. There was a lot of unsolved stress in the room, so the conversation stopped all of a sudden. Her husband had to take her home. She refused to accept responsibility for her errors, which harmed the divorce process later. It wasn't until her son told her the truth about the Christmas party that things changed, and she reluctantly agreed to the divorce. Her son told his friends about the scary gift exchange he saw, especially the upsetting picture of a stuffed animal that was smashed and stained with red that looked like blood. People at school heard about the statement very quickly, which made both teachers and parents worried. After this news came out, it was hard for my daughter to go back to school. The event And the rumors that connected her to her cousin's story made her feel down. People started to guess what link there was between her absence and what happened at the Christmas party, which showed how one careless action can change the lives of many people. I had thought that everything could have been taken care of quietly so that my daughter could go back to school when she was ready. When her cousin told her about the upsetting event, it wasn't to make her laugh. It was a desperate plea for his mother to stop doing what was hurting him. When her husband saw how these revelations affected people, he felt he had to speed up the divorce process and agreed to her terms just to end their split. By that time, she was really well known in the neighborhood for being scary around kids, which made her friends avoid her and even neighbors dislike her. She felt stuck and shamed, so she saw the split as a way out. She thought that going back to live with her parents would make her feel better, but her ex-husband was adamant about keeping custody of their son, and she didn't fight the decision. Instead, she coldly told her son that she didn't care about him because she was planning to get married again and kids were getting in the way of her plans. Her mean words made her son bravely turn her down. He told her he didn't need her in his life and that he was happier with his dad's care. He also told her not to talk to his cousin. When she went back to her parents' house, she was not allowed to stay, which made things worse for her. She had to deal with the effects of her acts by herself. Her downhill spiral put her in dangerous positions. For basic needs, taking out loans from sketchy sources, and then she disappeared from our lives. My husband and his parents decided not to file a missing persons report because they saw her absence as an answer. After that, my daughter got the courage to go back to school, where her cousin is still there to support her and promised to look out for her. Unexpectedly, this hard time has brought our families closer together, especially with my ex-brother-in-law, as we work together to help the kids. In the absence of my sister-in-law, my in-laws have taken care of and loved both of my grandkids with open arms. Now that she's not around, our family is at peace and has built a strong, trusted bond that was missing before.